Good Thursday morning at Wall Street. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. This is Opening Bid. I'm feeling it today, friends. So much to get to in so little time. Salesforce CEO Marc Benioff may still be talking about Agentforce on his earnings call that began last night. He was that excited about this stuff, way more than Wall Street, which pushed the stock to a record low valuation ahead of the better than expected report last night. Snowflake's results, meanwhile, were solid. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is making the rounds on podcasts, and Bitcoin continues to cool down in terms of volatility. What's not to love today? If you are an investor, which I assume you are, that's why you are watching us. Let's keep the market vibes going. Brooke Palmer is at the NASDAQ first in Times Square. Brooke.
Good morning, Brian. At the open, we're seeing all three major indices mostly flat as we make our way into today's trading session. If you take a look at what we're seeing right now on the YF Interactive, is all three major indices open up mostly higher. The Dow holding on to some momentum, up about 0.1 of a percentage point. NASDAQ up about 0.2 of a percentage point, moving higher over the past 2 days after we saw a bit of a sell-off on Monday, and the S&P 500 up about 0.2 as well. If you take a closer look at what exactly is trending that's leading this momentum higher in the market open, is definitely not Snowflake. Snowflake at the open is down about 9%. I know we'll get to more there, but definitely a bit of a disappointing outlook for the street. We also are taking a look at Kroger. That company, the grocery retailer, also posted mixed quarterly results. That's leading to the stock moving lower at the open. Salesforce, perhaps a bit of a turnaround here. Keep in mind, this stock has had quite the year to date. The stock is down more than 27%. And so this past report that came out yesterday after market close showed a bit of optimism there for the street. Also, Dollar General. Now keep in mind, this stock has done extremely well over the past year to date, up more than 58%. And that says all income cohorts are really turning to discount retailers to seek out value in this environment. And that's what we saw in their report out this morning as well. And that's why we're seeing a pop this morning, up nearly 9%. If you take a look at what we're seeing in the NASDAQ, Meta seeing the most momentum this morning, up more than 4% after the company did announce that it plans to cut costs around its metaverse. Of course, that major investment. Keep in mind, the company formerly known as Facebook, now Meta. We were hearing a bit of that earlier from Yahoo Finance's Dan Howley. Also, I know we'll talk a lot about Nvidia today. Jensen Huang making his rounds on Wednesday around DC, also appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast. That stock up nearly 0.8% this morning. And others in the red, Microsoft, Tesla, but others in the red, others in the green, Microsoft, Tesla, but in the red this morning, Costco, Micron, Intel, as well as Netflix, also moving lower this morning and down about 4.4% over the past few days. So definitely lots of momentum, but taking a step back, all three major indices still holding on to some momentum this morning as we heard about jobless claims coming in lower than expected, and also November layoffs also coming in less than October.
Crushing it, Brooke. Thanks so much. Talk to you in a second. Here's what's on my mind today. Jensen as the celebrity CEO. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang has surfaced this week on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was also snapped signing autographs after meeting with lawmakers. Is a celebrity Jensen great for Nvidia's investors? Or is Jensen risking taking his eye off the AI prize by being simply everywhere in the limelight? We'll put this to the opening bid roundtable. But get at me on X, at Brian Sozzi, with your thoughts. Would love to hear them on this one. The latest read on AI. Salesforce CEO Marc Benioff gushed for more than an hour on his earnings call last night about how businesses are paying finally for its AI agents. This after the company turned in better than expected results, but a still slowing top-line growth rate. Snowflake shares are getting dinged, though, as its product revenue growth rate slowed versus the prior quarter. So what's the better AI software play here? Maybe it's neither. Here's what former Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger told me about Google.
What Google and Gemini, and now, with their, TPUs coming to market, Google is roaring back. Competition is a great thing. And we need more cost-effective AI.
Always good to see my man Pat there. Google shares up 16% since its well-received Gemini 3 model on November 18th. All right, lots to get to. Here on the opening mid-roundtable, Lisa Schreiber, Grady Investments Associate Portfolio Manager, alongside Yahoo Finance Senior Reporters Brooke DePalma and as Frey. Lisa, coming at you, we have another celebrity CEO in Jensen. And Jensen, look, he's been out all over the place this year, but to see him on Joe Rogan's podcast, and if you are an Nvidia investor, do you want to see stuff like this?
Yeah, I think this year there were a lot of CEOs already out and about there. At least Mr. Huang is focusing for the most part on the business and not on politics, which is positive. And I think rightfully so that he is making his turns, right? I mean, especially when it comes to Washington and the China export restrictions, right? Where Nvidia is basically out of the market. It's the second largest market for them. And the longer they are out of there, the more harder it is to gain a foot there anyways, because China is not waiting for Nvidia to sell them their chips. They are doing it on their own, right? And that's a huge danger here. Also, when we, especially last week, heard about Google and kind of selling their own chips to Meta potentially, maybe doing it a little bit cheaper down the road as well. That certainly ruffled a few feathers at Nvidia. It's still the largest chip pure play, so I don't think there will be an immediate problem there. But we see the air is getting thinner with competition, and we see a lot of that competition. That's not only some companies, that's also their clients and their customers, right? So we have to take a close eye on that.
Lisa, you think part of the reason why Jensen would be doing these type of appearances is that while all of us know what NVIDIA is, we all know Jensen, we've all known his iconic leather jacket for years, the average person out there still does not know NVIDIA, and it might be an opportunity to get into the stock.
Yeah, especially you're completely right, Brian. And especially we saw that with the Joe Rogan podcast that he went on, right? Where he maybe also have a little bit more reach to people who are maybe not as familiar with NVIDIA at all. And I think the most important task for him on the agenda was to show the world, hey, we are the strongest company in the world. We are a pure play when it comes to technology and chips, while some of the raising competition like Google and Amazon, who are also doing their own chips, are also companies that are majority in retail, social media, ads, while NVIDIA is just focusing on that. And he's really emphasizing that, hey, we are just focusing on that. That's why we are the best, and that's why we continue to be the best. So I get why he's doing that.
And Nez, tough question to you. If you were in front of Jensen, would you let him sign your sneakers?
Of course
sure.
I would.
Sure, it's Jensen Huang. I mean, look, this is NVIDIA is like the NFL of finance. It is like their earnings are the Super Bowl of
What's
finance.
the song in this? I can't play because then we can't post the video online, right?
That's right. But look, the fact that he goes on Joe Rogan's podcast, he's also selling AI to the world as well. I mean, AI is changing the entire world, sort of like what Steve Jobs with the iPhone did. AI is also doing this in the world. And the fact that during that podcast, you saw that they talked a lot about the president and had great things to say about the president, et cetera. So there is a little bit of politics also that goes into this, because politics and finance are so intertwined nowadays. And the government is so intertwined in everything that's happening. He talked about energy and the fact that the president has really with energy saved AI. And so a lot of this has to do also with positioning the sort of how the world sees AI and how the world sees what the US government is doing also within the space of AI and investments in companies, et cetera.
Brooke, I'm just going to say it. I'm worried about Jensen burning out here.
I mean, if we saw Steve Jobs do it, as our guest previously said, this sort of reminded him, Michael Sullivan, that was of Capital Management, he said this sort of reminds him of Steve Jobs, of Bill Gates, these more than life type of figures. And when he said that really kind of stuck with me, because I remember growing up and Steve Jobs was sort of this bigger than life figure. When Here's to the Crazy Ones came out, that commercial, if you remember, it really sent shockwaves. I remember my teacher at the time showing us all that commercial, looking to get inspired and invigorated about the future of technology. And that's really what Jensen Huang is doing here. As you said at the top, this sort of is educating people about where exactly NVIDIA sits right now. We're hearing so much about AI, but where is NVIDIA in that puzzle? Also, you can't help but make the parallel of Jensen Huang wearing that leather jacket similar to Steve Jobs' look of the black turtleneck. And so he really explained it quite simply. He said layer 1 is energy, layer 2 is the chips. That's where NVIDIA comes in. He said layer 3 is infrastructure. And he went on to say that on top of that is all those AI players, all those chatbots. He even said, look, we've heard about Gemini, we've heard about ChatGPT, but those are actually just 4 of 1.5 million AI models in the world. And then on top of that comes quantum, robotics. He also said financial services and all these other applications in which AI is used. And so, yes, Jensen Huang is going around like crazy. He's making all these appearances, especially it seems like Wednesday was quite the busy day for him. But this really just goes to show the emphasis that he's putting on the need to educate the everyday person about where Nvidia sits within this AI revolution.
Jensen, if you see this clip out there on the internet, just make sure you're hydrating, make sure you're eating your vegetables, getting a little sleep, because you got a lot of AI chips to get out over the next few years and help powering the economy. Lisa, back to you. You mentioned Google. That's another stock that I've been inspired about, up 16% since the company came out with its Gemini 3 model on November 18th. I mean, is this one of the best stocks to own next year?
Absolutely. I mean, they're on both sides, right? They are on the software side, ads and all of the search that is still not dead, right? I mean, when ChatGPT came out 3 years ago, that was like, oh, is that the Google killer? Now it seems it's absolutely not, right? And now with the chips on the other side, with Meta being potentially a buyer here, maybe taking share a little bit of Nvidia, they are basically playing it on both sides, on the hardware side and on the software side. So I think that could be still a lot of growth ahead for 2026 here.
What else do you like in the Mag 7 complex? I mean, do you need to own all these stocks, or is Google just, you could be okay with that over the next 12 months?
So I would say there is more to it. We also like, for example, an Amazon, again, largest retailer, right? They are also on both sides, doing also their own chips, are very strong when it comes to the integration, high efficiency. So Amazon is really an interesting part here to play for 2026. Consumer spending is keeping up. We saw that with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So for the holiday season, it bodes well. That is certainly a tailwind, especially also for Amazon. But also a Microsoft, for example. And we talk about, and you talked about before, of Salesforce, for example, which is a CRM system. And Microsoft has their own, which is Microsoft Dynamics, when I kind of picked that specific part of Microsoft out here, which is generally seen to be inferior to Salesforce, but they are already integrated, right, with Teams and their Office products and all of that, and can maybe potentially get some traction there. Also with their overall systems, very interesting play as well for 2026.
And as I joked at the top of the show that Mark Benioff over at Salesforce may still be hyping up Agentforce on the earnings call. Of course, that call is not going on anymore. He was that excited about it, but let's keep in mind here, ahead of this report, Salesforce shares were trading at a record low valuation. I mean, I get why the stock is up right now, but still, it's the same company it was 2 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, but they bet everything on Agentforce. And if you take a look at their numbers with Agentforce, I mean, it is impressive that they have now 9,500 paid deals. That's an increase of 6,000 from the prior quarter. Wall Street is talking now about the momentum in Agentforce. This is their AI tool. This is the bet on this AI tool. These are customer service bots. But as you mentioned, I mean, this stock year to date is down 27%. It is seeing a little bit of a bump because of this. But certainly this is the Agentforce is where they have bet everything in these AI agents. And mind you, also, this year, Salesforce had cut 4,000 of its workers. I mean, if you talk about the impact of AI on the workforce, this was an example of being able to cut 4,000 customer service jobs because of AI.
Brooke, real quick, last word to you. Snowflake shares getting dinged. A real reminder to folks in this AI trade, these companies have to show accelerating growth rates quarter over quarter. Snowflake didn't do that, and its stock's getting hit.
Brian, absolutely. And also something that investors are really focusing in when it comes on these AI companies is the forecast that they're putting out. And that's partially why we're seeing Snowflake getting hit today. They've forecasted a slower product revenue growth for the fourth quarter. That was partly hit by discounts offered on large long-term deals. But keep in mind, even though the stock is taking a hit today, we did see 13 firms raise their price target on the stock. And so while it's moving lower today, the street is still largely optimistic about the outlook for this company.
All right, big thanks to my roundtable, Lisa Schreiber, Brooke DePalma, and Inez Ferre. Appreciate it. Good to see y'all. All right, is there a turnaround brewing at C3.ai under its new CEO? We have that new CEO in the hot seat for my Power Player segment next. Don't go anywhere. All right, C3.ai is out with without earnings a few months after it surprised Wall Street with a deep restructuring and a new CEO. This time around, the company is calling out strength in its government business and a better operationally aligned business entering 2026. I have C3.ai's new CEO Steve Ehikian here for my Power Players segment. Steve, great to see you again, man. Look, you've been in the job for a little over 2 months right now. What have you been able to tackle to get the company going down a better path?
Yeah, well, thank you, Brian. Q2 for us was a solid quarter with better execution. You've seen the momentum with our bookings growing 49%. A big strength of that is the federal business. That grew 89% year over year. A big piece of this is the move from the federal business to buy more COTS solutions and drive adoption of AI. And also the reindustrialization of our military. So, for example, like the Maritime Industrial Base, which is directly benefiting C3. So I say federal's definitely on fire. But we're also closing blue chip companies like a GSK, AMD, and Signature Aviation. So I think it's a testament to the enterprise AI market that's accelerating and the strength of the C3.ai platform.
Steve, what changes have you made to how the business is run?
The biggest focus, and Brian, I've been nonstop meetings with customers, partners, and prospects. The demand for enterprise AI is accelerating. Our focus, mine, is to put an exacting execution plan in place and drive a culture of a high accountability. The market's there. When we demonstrate economic value to our customers, you get a GSK that goes from a single use case, like demand forecasting of vaccines, to an enterprise-wide agreement. So that's the first focus, execution. Number two is the focus of our product and market. When we go after key use cases like industrial asset performance, supply chain optimization, and in our generative AI application across key verticals, we win. So again, doubling down on those areas, we have clear leadership and clear customer success.
When the restructuring news came out, I believe it was August, it surprised the street. And my takeaway at the time, Steve, was it was a sales force issue in terms of, the sales force perhaps just wasn't getting the job done or closing deals. Have you changed how they are compensated?
We more closely align incentives with the outcomes we want, which the number one outcome is driving economic value for our customers. And what does that actually mean? We focus to get into the market with initial production deployments, the IPD motion. This is a single use case where when we actually demonstrate the economic value aligned with the customer, those convert. So the incentive model is clearly aligned to landing these initial use cases and driving the value of our customers. If we do that correctly, growth and a path to profitability will follow.
The government business, like you mentioned, Steve, has really caught a lot of momentum. How big is this business overall for C3 right now, and where are you winning business?
Yeah. So it's a massive business for C3. I kind of mentioned 89% growth year over year. It's about 45% of our bookings. Where we are winning, historically we've been in the Department of War across the Air Force, Navy, Marines, and Army. But you're now seeing the strength of the civilian business. And I think a big part of that, of these agencies focusing on becoming more efficient and driving adoption of AI. We highlighted a great customer example with the Department of Health and Human Services. This is a great use case utilizing the full strength of the C3.ai platform from our data integration, data fusion capabilities, and then an ability to drive insights and workflows on top of that with our pre-built applications. So I would say the strength is across civilian and the Department of War, and I think these trends continue.
What contingency plan, Steve, do you put in place? We're just coming off a historic government shutdown. You talked a little bit about in the call. If this business even becomes more important to C3.ai and we get another government shutdown, what plans are you putting in place today to offset any weakness there?
We can't control the government shutdown. We didn't control the 43-day shutdown in the last quarter. And I would say despite those headwinds, we delivered strong results in that space. So I would say, one, continue to deliver value. If we deliver the value, it doesn't matter if the government shuts down. We'll continue to have these conversations and drive the expansions of that account. But again, beyond just the federal, commercial, we're seeing the same thing. Companies want to go faster adopting enterprise AI. And again, when we demonstrate value, we go from initial use case to enterprise-wide agreements.
What inning is the U.S. government in moving towards AI?
we're in the early innings of adopting AI. And I appreciate this administration's focus on the AI action plan. That is a big push to allow the US to win in this AI race. But now it's up to the individual agencies. And I know it's a top priority for virtually every agency to find use cases and solutions. And a big part of this is actually finding the right partners. AI is very early, but you need the private sector to come in to provide expertise to work hand in hand with the government employees to identify the right use cases and the right deployments. And a big part of this is integrating into the core systems and data of the US government, which is not easy. But again, this is a core capability of C3.ai and something we will double down into.
These agents that the industry is starting to deploy, starting to find their way inside of government, are these going to replace government jobs?
No, not at all. I can tell you, but put my government hat on, running the GSA, there is so much excitement from the actual employees to pull in AI. And why? It's to eliminate the day-to-day drudgery of work, whether it's crafting a RFP or a proposal for a sale of a real estate building at the GSA. The employees are the ones pulling this technology in and asking. And that was a big part of the push to drive the deals with these OpenAI and Anthropic and Grok and Gemini to get them into the government. But that was just the beginning, and that was a taste. Now the desire is to go more end-to-end workflow adoption of AI.
Since we last talked, Steve, there's a report by Reuters, I'm sure you saw it, that C3 is exploring a sale. Can you comment on that? And then secondarily, are you undergoing some form of strategic review where that could be an outcome?
Brian, I don't comment on market rumors. What I can focus on is the execution day to day. And I can tell you the demand for enterprise AI is growing by the day, and the opportunity at C3.ai is bigger than I can anticipate. So the two things I'm focused on is exacting execution across sales, doubling down on delivering economic value, and focusing on the use cases and vertical markets where we see demonstrable leadership and customer success.
On a non-GAAP basis, do you think the company is operating profitable sometime over the next 12 months?
I put a plan in place. I'm not going to comment on timing, but the operating plan and the financial model I put in place with my management team leads us to a path to rapid growth and a path to profitability on a non-GAAP basis.
All right, we will leave it there. Steve, good to see you. Good to see the work you're doing over there at C3. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, coming up on Market Catalyst, Julie Hyman will chat with the CFO of UiPath about the company's outlook. I am also looking forward to a retail chat with Anthony Chukumba, an outspoken Wall Street analyst who has taken to task many struggling retailers through the years. Big fan of his work. We'll be right back.